What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Ethereum Classic. So there's been a lot of volatility in the crypto market as of late, but I want to go over some of the current data points, what's been coming out, and just some things to watch for in the short term. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So as it stands, it is up 2.97%, doing fairly well over the last, day or so. It is starting to build back up a lot of good momentum after the substantial sell-off. I'll go over some data points before I kind of allude to some technicals and whatever else. I always like to bring this up, just number of institutions accepting ETC as a form of payment. So currently 1,233, up 2 in January, relatively slow, but if you kind of zoom out as I've shown you, it's good growth. So the chart looks really good overall, and hopefully it does continue in that same positive momentum overall. One thing to note though, it is kind of lagging. So based on the market cap, ETC is ranked number 29. So it is lagging a little bit in comparison to number 30 and 31. So it might get pushed back down to, I think it hit a low of 32. But regardless, it is lagging, and that's not necessarily the best thing. So the market cap currently is 2.9 billion. Let me know your thoughts on ETC in the comments below. Of course, over the last little bit, all cryptocurrency, ETC included, has been at the mercy of big money, rotating in and out of cryptocurrency just as people's risk appetite goes up, down, sideways, all associated to that damn ETF approval. So I wanted to play a quick video of that, and it puts in perspective on truly what is happening and what might actually follow that. So after that, I'll go over some technicals. So like I said, only a couple minutes from this video, so let me know your thoughts on that.
The crypto community expecting a call from the SEC any day now on the approval or rejection of the spot Bitcoin ETFs, though approvals are pretty widely expected at this point. Joining us right now on what that could mean for crypto at large, John Palmer is the president and CEO of Digital. It's a separate entity from parent company CBOE Global Markets, which is the listing agent, or I should say exchange, for spot Bitcoin ETFs. CBOE Digital is not involved in the process of launching the ETFs, but it would benefit from their approval. What do you think we're going to hear, and is there a wrinkle in what we might hear?
Well, I mean, I think you've seen quite a lot of progress made, really, the last couple of weeks. Even yesterday, we saw some back and forth between the commission and the issuers on the S1s. So I think that's good sentiment, right? I mean, progress here is good. You're seeing the agencies engage. You're seeing the issuers engage, and all the filings from the exchanges are all up to date at this point from what we can see. So
let's assume that there's an approval. Do you think there's certain ones that get approved? Do you think it's all of them get approved at the same time? How does that work? And then what does it mean in terms of, as they get launched, how much Bitcoin they're going to be buying in the market, what that does to the price? Have we already bought the rumor, sell the news? What's the thought?
Yeah, it's obviously a pretty big competitive milestone, right? We have quite a few different issuers with filings in. The SEC has different dates for different rule filings on the exchange side that they can approve, but there's a couple different scenarios, right? They could, as you mentioned, approve a few of them out, or they can approve them all at once. So time will tell, I think, between today and tomorrow how that's actually going to go. And then you still have the S1 aspect that has to be made effective, right? And so we've seen the agency engage with the issuers on that. And so both the rule filings and the S1s have to be both approved and made effective before they actually can list it.
Okay, so impact on price. For those who've been speculating the past month or 2 or 3 now that this day is going to come, has it moved as much as it's going to move? Is this the day it gets announced, it moves another 20, 30, 40. I mean, what are we talking about here?
It's hard to expect because we have to really see how the capital flows into the ETF. I think obviously an approval is bullish, but we've seen a big move recently. So the best part here is that there's going to be additional investors that get access to Bitcoin that maybe don't really want to natively hold it themselves, right? So they're going to be able to buy it.
And I've been saying that exact same thing. Of course, in the past, in my previous videos, I have alluded to a ETC dedicated ETF. In this video, I wanted to just bring that up and address it because I did do more of a deeper dive, especially for the individual that was making those claims on Twitter. And it looks like it was a newer account, and I don't really trust it all that much. And plus, there was a corresponding article around that. and it just seems more of a fugazi. So once again, I would absolutely like a ETC ETF, dedicated one, but I don't think it's, other than the grayscale, but I don't think there's going to be an actual ETF of that. But potentially once the Bitcoin ETF does get approved, which in my opinion, I think it's going to be a individual approval, not a bulk approval. But aside from that though, I feel like it's just going to be a domino effect for more and more cryptocurrencies to see the success of Bitcoin, and then obviously kind of move in that direction. Hopefully Bigger Money has that plan. So once again, I just wanted to bring this up, but I'll play a little bit more of this because he does talk on some possible predictions if like it does get approved. If not, what would happen to Bitcoin? And obviously through that, that'll trickle down to a lot of other cryptocurrencies.
If I told you it was going to move 15%, but I didn't tell you which way.
I don't think I'd be surprised.
And right, but pick away.
Well, it's like that every day, practically.
Yeah, not really, but pick away, up or down.
I think it depends on which way the approval, if it's approved or not approved.
Well, let's say it's approved.
If it's approved, no. I'm saying if it's approved.
Go with approved.
If it's approved, I think it's likely we see more of an upside than a downside.
You do.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you have it. So ultimately, I kind of do agree as well, the fact that if it does get approval, it will go up. Obviously, the number of approvals will depend on how high it goes. But in reality, you're going to see a lot of individuals seeing the success of Bitcoin and how much has ran up, and might kind of have a pullback as associated, especially based on the technicals. But over and above that, as Bitcoin would be retracing down as a result, I feel like a lot of big money is going to be scouring cryptocurrencies for discounted plays. And ETC did participate somewhat in the recent rally, but nowhere where it should have. So it really struggled to get past that 23 resistance. It briefly did, but it keeps getting dragged back down. It has so much trouble at $23, $22. So I want to go over all that. But based on the liquidations, I like to look at who is selling, whether it be longs, shorts, because despite everything, ETC is still very much shorted, heavily shorted in fact. And it has gone through several short squeezes over the last year, nothing really recent, well, with the exception of this kind of on November the 8th somewhat. But aside from that though, over the last little bit, volume has been relatively low, but in reality, it's just been longs closing out some of their positions. So it's not much optimism, and this is where you're getting that lag with ETC, just a lot of longs adding a lot of unnecessary selling pressure. Whereas potentially if ETC does piggyback from the Bitcoin run up, then you never know, it could really have a short squeeze behind the scenes as well. But let's look at some of the technicals. So right now I have the 1 hour, or I'll move to the 1 day. So right now I have the 1 day chart up, 7, 25, and 100-day moving averages, Bollinger Band, momentum, and stochastic RSI. So everything that you need to know. So currently looking on the actual chart, it is a higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. It's trying to get dragged down into the lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. Stochastic RSI, you do see a start of a bullish sentiment, so that's a nice positive thing, at least for the next week potentially. Momentum shows number of retail investors, or at least the number of investors getting in. 4 hour chart, because keep in mind 4 hour leads to the 1 and whatever else. But looking on the 4 hour, this is kind of optimistic. So on the 4 hour, it is looking to transition from the lower to the higher percentile, and it is trying to get above that 7-day moving average right now, which is struggling with. So that's kind of where you're seeing some of the resistance on the 1 day right now. Stochastic RSI on the 4 hour is kind of too hot, so it does need to probably pull down, and that's also why it's struggling to get above the 7 right now, and number of retail investors are getting in. So as it stands, these are some of the strong support and resistance points that you need to be very aware of. So right now with it at $20.19, it is between this S1 and the pivot. So you really want to watch for ETC to get above $20.27 and stay there. That way it can actually continue the positive momentum, but as it stands, it's consolidating. Hopefully it'll try again in the foreseeable future in the next 4 hours potentially. If not, 1854 is going to be that next strong support, and then 2027 is going to be resistance. So right now it's kind of flirting with this pivot point, so we'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, it is always been struggling to get above this R2, so this 2308. So if approval of that ETF, I could see probably it trading between this R1 to this R2 very easily, depending on how much FOMO is kicking in for ETC and across the board. And if there's a short squeeze, then it might actually be able to get get to this R3 or potentially above that. So I feel like it all depends on your time frame, right? If you believe in ETC bigger picture, then all of this is just noise. You have to realize that bigger and better things are coming. If you are a short-term swing trader, then pay attention to a lot of these support and resistance points like I mentioned. As it stands, it's kind of retracing down, so who knows? Let me know your thoughts on ETC. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? Or what have you been doing behind the scenes? But one final thing I wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. It is associated to stocks, but simply throw $100 at a brand new account with Moomoo and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So this is one of the best deals in the market, has been extended up until January the 15th. So take advantage of this, link in the description below and also the comments. But with all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.